Live in the CNN Newsroom, Tony Harris and Heidi Collins.
For that conquer word, mega churches putting millions in the pews and millions in the bank. Now a senator is looking into the finances of 6 mega churches headed by popular TV preachers. Ken Behr is president of the Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability and Accreditation Agency for Ministries. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Hey, I have to ask you, are you in any way surprised by Senator Grassley attempting to find out here where the money goes?
Well, I'm not really surprised that Senator Grassley is interested in asking these kind of questions. You know, Senator Grassley, for a number of years, has been taking a look at both at for-profit as well as not-for-profit organizations.
Well, I have to ask you, is there any kind of a sense, maybe you can share your thoughts on this, that the so-called prosperity preachers perhaps are taking money that they're not entitled to?
Well, I know this is one of Senator Grassley's interests. There's always been an interest on Senator Grassley's part, the Senate Finance Committee, as well as the IRS, that nonprofits behave like nonprofits. So I think it would only be natural for him to ask the questions about where is compensation going, are you being compensated, is there a board of review, are there audited financial statements that we can take a look at?
Yeah, how often does this kind of thing happen?
Well, this is actually quite rare. You know, these are the one thing these 6 organizations have in common is they're all organized as churches.
Yeah.
Now, the general public might only recognize 2 or 3 of them as churches. The rest of them are basically television ministries. But because they're recognized as churches, they don't have to file a Form 990, which is the way that the public and the United States government has the right to know what the finances are of the organization.
Hey, is this an important distinction, the church ministry distinction?
Yeah, I think it is. You know, in the past, the nonprofit investigations and the number of organizations that have gone before the Senate Finance Committee have been typically nonprofits. Some of them have been religious organizations, but they're nonprofits. These are exempt organizations. They're organized as churches.
Okay, so if I'm Bishop Eddie Long today, if I'm Joyce Meyer, if I'm Creflo Dollar, and I get this request for documents, and look, there's a lot here about my compensation, housing allowances, checking and savings accounts, cars, airplanes, and overseas trips. What do I do here? Do I respond? Do I wait for a subpoena? What do I do?
Well, I'd encourage them to respond. You know, the Senate, this is really just an inquiry by Senator Grassley, but when Senator Grassley speaks, he speaks with a tremendous amount of authority. The Senate Finance Committee has subpoena power. So if these inquiries don't result in some cooperation from the ministries, it could easily lead to a subpoena.
This is interesting. Mr. Grassley said in a telephone interview, Jesus comes into the city on a simple mule, and you got people today expanding his gospel in corporate jets. Somebody ought to raise questions about, is it right or wrong? What is he getting at here? Does he have a sense? Is he responding to specific complaints or allegations, or is this a fishing expedition?
No, I think it's a little bit of both. I wouldn't say it's a fishing expedition. I think if you really go back over the last couple of years, Senator Grassley led the Senate Finance Committee and also an organization called the Panel on the Nonprofit, which our organization was a part of. And they took a look at all nonprofits and basically the types of things that the nonprofits should be doing. What was excluded from that was a lot of the religious charities. In fact, that was fortunate for our organization because that's where we live. But at the same time, these questions were being asked by the general public. When he had inquiries, there were a number of inquiries that came in about specific ministries and said, oh, by the way, we hear about a real estate transaction, or did you know they have a private plane?
Yeah.
And so these ended up on a laundry list of questions, and now is the time that he's making them public.
All right, let's see where this goes. Kenneth Behr, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Good to see you.